I've started diving into Reddit threads, Reddit forums, and looking at all of the stories that people post on there from like the Dead Bedrooms subreddit. This isn't a world that I like live in. This is not just normie world, but it's also like anti-self-help normie world, I guess. And so I look at some of these stories. Oh, you know, we've been married for like 20 years and like we haven't had sex for the last year, or we've had sex like once in the last year. It's my birthday. I wonder if she'll give me a blowjob. Like, how? At what point? Like it's like the frog in boiling water analogy. Like when was it too far? Like it's, you know, maybe it was, now it's every week, now it's every other week, now it's once a month. It's like at what point did you not think that this is going too far? Then you're no longer actually in a relationship with a woman who respects you. Clearly not. If she views sex as a chore, it's basically dead already. Like, you're just prolonging the inevitable, because women have sex drives. Desire is still there, that primal urge is still there. And if she's not getting it from you, well, I'm sorry, fella, but there's probably someone on the side that she is getting it from. So, yeah, if a guy lets it get that far, he's got to look in the mirror. I mean, yeah, you're not absolving women of responsibility, but at a certain point, you got to look yourself in the mirror and realize you didn't put your foot down. You didn't have any boundaries, and you didn't have any self-respect. And that's what she actually pinged off of. She pinged off of his lack of self-respect. And thought, well, if he had to respect himself, I ain't going to respect him. Why would she? I've literally saved people's marriages because I've taught a guy, hey, here's the correct dynamic you want in the bedroom. Here's the correct way to dick her down, where you're creating a dynamic where she looks up to you, where you're creating a dynamic where she respects you. She sees you as a masculine man again, and now that carries on outside the bedroom.
So what if you're the type of guy who maybe you don't have the best job? Maybe you work at a corporate company, mid-level. You're not, you know, a ballin', famous millionaire dude. Is it possible for those guys to be able to?
There's a lot of stories of, like, you know, musicians who are complete bums who end up with, like, you know, a bunch of groupies and stuff. And yeah, you could say it's because they got the notoriety with, like, being a musician, whatever. There's always a guy in college who you know, has a roster, you know, of women who he can keep around, but he's objectively a bum. Like, I see guys that are making a cope online with a statement like that. I'm not saying you're coping, but I'm just saying the statement of, like, oh, you need to be, you know, 6 foot, over 6 figures, jacked, tall, like red pants and all this. You need to basically be a minor celebrity to attract a woman nowadays. And that's just objectively not the case. If anything, the bedroom is like the domain where the average guy can easily compete. The problem comes when, like, later on in a relationship, when a woman starts to, like, take on this attitude of the grass is always, it can be greener on the other side. Like, the woman through social media primarily, they start to see a lifestyle of what they think they are owed, what they believe that they can expect from any man. You know, it's like in Dubai, on a yacht, driving a fast car, doing all this ridiculous shit, right? Which is not the case for, like, 99% of people. That's not the life that they live. I look at it as, like, you've got offense and defense in your relationship. So, like, your defense is you've got all these outside influences trying to, like attacking your dynamic with your woman. And it's, you know, it's things like Instagram, it's things like social media, it's things like mainstream media, like feminism. You've got all this social programming.
Even like family and friend influence, especially on the females.
Sometimes, very much so. Sometimes, very much, especially the friends. Not necessarily the family, but very much the friend group. If it's a jealousy situation, if it's he's too right wing and he's not woke and liberal enough, whatever, right? They will come in and attack, right? So you've got to play defense in terms of how do we minimize the influence that these external forces can have on our relationship, because we're trying to go in a positive direction. And all these things are trying to break us up or push us in a negative direction, right? With a negative dynamic where they want her to be the breadwinner. They want her to be, like, the captain of the ship.
They want her to be the man nowadays.
Basically, yes. That's the defense side of things. And then we've got the offensive side of things. And the offensive side of things, the bedroom is one of those dynamics where it's like we can reinforce this masculine, feminine polarity, this dominance and submission polarity, and create something really positive, something that's very natural. We create this kind of flow state where she submits to him, respects him, looks up to him, and, let's be fair, lusts after him, right? And you can create that dynamic by knowing what you're doing in the bedroom. You can create a very, let's say, you can get her addicted to you in that regard. And it's not in a manipulative way, it's in a positive way. Like, she's having a fantastic time,
right?
But we're both getting what we want in this relationship. She gets to be with a guy who blows her mind in the bedroom and she genuinely desires, and he gets to be with a woman who respects him. It's a massive win-win. It's one thing that any guy can do. Not every guy is going to be able to build a social media following. Not every guy is going to be able to earn 6, 7 multiple figures, right? But every guy can learn a few tips and tactics in the bedroom that they can implement in their relationship.
Like if a man's in a position where he doesn't have that authority, that responsibility over his woman, you're teaching it, and you're starting it with in the bedroom. So dominating sexually, but then how does that turn around where you're able to teach them how to dominate in other aspects?
Well, I think once you learn to assert yourself and have that authority in the bedroom, it's no longer a weird leap for you to start not demanding, but start directing, instructing your woman again outside the bedroom. Again, she's going to by default look up to you a bit more, respect you a little bit more, and it's just, it's inches and inches and inches. It's a little bit. This is not going to immediately fix itself overnight, like with one bout of lovemaking, right? But over time, these things are going to start to compound. And from students of mine, they tell me things like she doesn't nag so much anymore, surprisingly, because she's happy.
That's definitely a winner for most men. Yeah.
Like there's so much of like a woman's nagging that I swear to God just comes down to how much she's orgasmed, like how sexually frustrated is she. Like there is a giant correlation between a woman's nagging and a woman's sexual frustration. If she's orgasming all the time, she ain't gonna be nagging you as much.